You know, years ago, I was sitting with a pastor in my office, actually a pastor and his wife, and this pastor had been through at least a decade of really intense persecution. I mean, brutal stuff. And I sat there with him. He had been released out of his country and was now in the United States. And I said, if I asked you, what was your worst day? Do you know what that was? And he did not hesitate. He said, oh my gosh, yes. And he recounted the story of what happened to him. And he had, again, been through, over a decade of terrible persecution, prison, torture, beatings all the time, constantly harassed by the secret police. And he had found himself again in prison. And this is a tropical country, and they put him in a very small, like a box, a metal shed with a metal roof on it in the tropical sun. And he was baking alive in there, and he was sitting on the dirt, and he was covered in ants, and there wasn't anything left. Nothing at all. And he said, I feel like I'm in hell and I just want to die. And something transformational happened to him. And I want to pause there because the persecuted, they're teaching us so much. And in this case, for you, in some ways, this is a universal moment because you're not going to be arrested for your faith. Odds are you're not going to be arrested. You're not going to be tortured. But you're going to find yourself figuratively, metaphorically in that little box, that little metal box baking in the sun, and covered in dirt and covered in ants with no hope left and no energy and nothing else. And this is where the Lord can do so much in your life. And this has happened to brother and sister. I've heard this story repeatedly, but it comes to the point and we just give up, and we have to give up, and we say, wait a minute, Lord, if you're teaching me, I will stay here as long as you want. I was listening to a pastor, a sermon the other night, and he said he was looking back over his life, and he'd been through a few decades as a pastor, and this can be a rough job. And he said, I think about all those times where I was stretched way beyond my resources. I had nothing left, and it was so painful going through that. I'm sure you can relate, right? We've all been there. And he said, but looking back, that's where all the gold came. That's where all the gold was. That's everything I had piled up spiritually happened in those times. So I just want to say, bottom line, to think about that and to say, God bless you. Thank you for caring for your persecuted brother and sister. And it's so good to be on the journey towards home with you and to learn together from the persecuted. God bless you.